Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Beach and Predator Fishing Antics. Apologies, it's been a long time since I've been out and I hope you can hear me. I've just put the kettle on and I'm using an MSR pocket rocket and it makes a lot of noise, but it is extremely quick. Anyway, I've arrived. I'm back up at the Humber Wall. I'm on the hunt for cod. Really frustrating. Last winter didn't manage to get one. Well, I had one, but I lost it because the hook broke. It was up here. It was really frustrating. Up against the rocks. I'd forgotten my lights. I was trying so I couldn't really film. When I looked at the footage, there was just a lot of footage of me swearing a lot because I jumped in the water to try and grab it by the tail as it turned around and swam off. And it was a lump as well, so I was really gutted. That's the closest I came to a cod all last winter. So we're up here again. I've been up with my mate Matt a couple of times, but kind of like fairly early on in the season. Not had any joy, had a couple of whiting, but didn't have enough kind of space because we were both travelling in his car to bring cameras and stuff. I had a really frustrating week last week. This last week I've been down at Norfolk and the intention was to do some fishing and some filming, but the weather was just completely against me. Gale force winds coming down the east coast, even a little bit of snow we had, so it just really wasn't working for me. So the end of the week's holiday, it's now the Sunday, it's beginning of December, back to work tomorrow, so I've taken the opportunity to come up to the wall. I headed up here nice and early. High tide's not until 5:30, so I was kind of here certainly by midday, although some of the bays had already gone. That's what it's like up here. Excuse me a moment. That's how quick that stove is. With this, I've got this fire maple, little 0.8 litre fire maple kettle that's got a heat exchanger on the bottom. It takes absolutely no time at all to boil up some water, so if you'll excuse me, I will just sort my tea bags and stuff out and I'll be back to you. Right, where was I? Yes, anyway, so got here, yeah, about 12 o'clock. Already a couple of bays that I would like to have fished in had gone, so I'm up on bay 23. Got a good tide tonight, about 7.5 metres, and it's about just after 5:30. What's time now? It's 1:10. So as I say, got the rods set up. I'll go through the rigs and stuff that I'm going to be using in a bit. But just a quick word on kind of, you know, where I've been and what I've been doing, because I am conscious it's a long time. It's a long time since I put a film up, and apologies for that. But the reason for that has been, firstly, I've not had a lot of chance to do any beach fishing. The problem is I live in Lincoln, and we don't particularly have any great marks near us, certainly not as far as summer fishing goes. Unless I get the chance to get down to Norfolk and do a little bit of bass fishing, there really isn't much fishing to be had. And because I was getting frustrated that I wasn't getting much fishing done, I had a dabble on the dark side. Well, I say a dabble, it turned into a lot more than a dabble. I'd been watching a Totally Awesome Fishing show episode, and he was kind of twitching for pike with sprat. And the rod he was using, I thought, do you know what, that looks rather like my bass spinning rod. I can have a go at that. So I went down to my canal, which is literally only 5-minute walk away from my house, and tried twitching a sprat underneath my bass spinning rod, and I caught a pike first time out, and I got bitten by the bug. And that was it. That was kind of, you know, that's fatal. And then with my mate Matt, who you may well see, hopefully you'll see at some point on camera, he was more into his kind of freshwater fishing, and I was more into the sea fishing, and I kind of got him into the sea fishing, and he's kind of got me into the freshwater fishing, particularly the predator fishing for pike and perch. And I have to say, I love perch. They are just such brilliant little fish, even the really small ones, because they've got such an amazing attitude. And when you're fishing for them in kind of clear water and you're drop shotting and stuff like that, and you can see them going for the lure, it's really quite good fun, and it gets you out fishing. So I've spent the summer doing quite a lot of fishing. I was lucky enough that a friend of mine contacted me, and she was moving house, and her brother had a load of fishing gear, and he's travelling around the world, and he said, "Oh, just get rid of it." So she contacted me and said, "I see from Facebook that you like your fishing, are you interested?" So I picked up a whole load of course gear. Some of it was really nice stuff. And then kind of, Matt's given me kind of spare bits that he had, and I kind of ended up with a whole heap of course fishing gear of various types. So basically now I can do everything from float fishing, for tiddlers, up to, I've got a couple of kind of barbel type rods. I'm planning at some point next summer, I want to get up to the Trent, which is very close to me, and try some barbel fishing, because that looks like good fun. I've had a go at a little bit carp fishing, which was quite enjoyable. It was easy, but it was quite good fun. At the end of the day, you're kind of catching fish and you're having a bit of sport. And my oldest daughter Fern came along on a couple of occasions, and she really enjoyed it as well. And I've done a bit, and I've even done a bit of noddy fishing. Now the plan originally was, and the reason that I changed the title of the site, of the channel, was because I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, then I ought to film bits of it and put it up on the channel, and that will happen at some point in the future. I've really spent, because this was all completely new to me, I've really spent this summer trying to kind of dabble, try different things, different methods of fishing, lure fishing for pike, live baiting for pike, dead baiting for pike, not with huge amounts of success, if I'm honest. I mean, that may be that I'm literally only kind of like trolling down to my local stretch of canal, and there's not an enormous amount there to be had, but I've had a few. It wouldn't have made great telly, to be honest. So that's why I've not done it thus far, but I certainly will do in future. They may be kind of short, they may be kind of literally just filmed with a GoPro or something like that, but over the coming 12 months, then I'll certainly give that a go, and I'll try putting some different types of fishing up, because at least then I'm getting some content up on the channel. And what's lovely is I'm still picking up subscribers, even though I hadn't put a film up for quite a long time. So thank you to all of you who have subscribed to the channel. It really does make a difference. It inspires you to kind of go out and try and get some more filming done, and try and learn some new things that you can kind of pass on. So do keep hitting the subscribe button. Do stay with me, and hopefully over the next 12 months I will get some more content up, and some more varied content up. And you can kind of join me as I learn what the hell I'm doing with some of the forms of fishing, because frankly most of it I haven't got a bloody clue. But I've had fun learning, and the great thing about the internet and about YouTube and stuff like that is that there are other channels out there that are with more experienced fishermen that are teaching you stuff. So you can hopefully watch my videos and laugh at my complete incompetence, and then go and watch another channel that actually know what they're doing, and learn something. But you might learn from my mistakes. That's the thing. And the thing is, because I'm new to it as well, I'm dabbling and I'm trying different things, and I'm kind of thinking, well, if I do that there, why can't I do that there? And it may be there's a good reason why I can't use one method in a certain situation or whatever. But the fun bit is kind of learning that kind of stuff, isn't it? So anyway, enough rambling. That's kind of where we are at the moment. So as I say, we're up on Humber Wall. Going to try and get some cod today. I've not heard whether or not any cod are coming out, but then you never do with this venue. It's one of the things people don't mention this venue very much on sites like WSF and whatever. So you never really know. The only way to come to find out if there's cod about is to come up here and fish it. I suspect there might be some. Somebody did put a note up that he'd had, I think, 2 smallish ones, only about kind of 2.5 pounds. But he put it up on the kind of like the eastern region, on the east coast, rather than on the kind of the Humber bit, which was quite handy because he had a couple of small cod. So fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll get somewhere. I say it's a good tide. So we'll see what we can do. So I'm gonna crack on and make myself a bacon butty, because it's going to be a while before I can fish. The water's still a long way away, so I'll make myself bacon butty to keep me going, and I will catch up with you in a bit and have a chat with you about what kind of rigs I'm using and the bait that I'm using. So I'll catch up with you soon. Hi guys. Right, so while it's still daylight, I thought I'd just run through the rigs that I'm going to be using and the bait that I'm using today. Firstly, the rig. This is called, I think, a pulley drop-down rig. This is something that I've picked up from a couple of other YouTube sites. I think Fishing Brothers and Sea Angling Adventures. I think that's Andy Webb, isn't it? He uses this as a kind of ray rig, and I just thought it struck me as being quite a nice rig to use, because it does get the bait away from the lead, and should work perfectly well for cod fishing. But the reason I like it most is the fact that you can make up different hook links, and you can make up a whole load of those, and literally, instead of changing the entire trace, what you do is you just change the hook link. So essentially we start off with, we've got a swivel at one end, and then that goes to a bead. Hopefully you can see this okay. And then I've got a breakaway pulley link here, which is rather nice, because it's kind of like you've got that plastic pulley at the bottom fixed to a clip. So that's how you clip up onto your line. It's coming from your rod. So you've got the line coming down from your rod. It's clipped onto that, and then you've got the actual rig body itself there. So yeah, so you swivel, bead, the breakaway pulley, another bead, and then on here we've got I think this is a Gemini clip with the kind of the bent piece just there. Hopefully you can see that. Let's move that a bit closer to the camera, so hopefully you can pick that up. And then I've got another bead, and then that goes down to a breakaway imp, which is a bait release. Again, let's get that a little bit closer so you can see that. Now you may say to yourself, Chaz, you idiot, why are you using a bait release clip when you're using a breakaway lead? Well, the simple answer for that is, A, this enables me to use the trace on a lead if I'm not using a breakaway, and the reason for that being that I did buy some a couple of they were fairly cheap. They were kind of like a feeder lead. So basically a lead at the bottom. Let me just grab one out of the box and I can show you. There we go. It's one of these. Now again, this is kind of my foray into kind of coarse fishing and stuff, you know, looking at kind of, you know, feeders and whatever. And I've long thought that surely it'd be a good idea to have more scent in the water to try and attract the fish in, especially when it's it's coloured water. So I thought I'd give these a go, but to be honest, this particular brand that I got, the one that I really wanted, I wasn't able to get, and this brand that I did pick up, the plastic bit does tend to kind of come off, although it does work perfectly well, and once you've got that kind of clipped on, then it stays there pretty well. Now the reason that I'm not going to use these today is that they're a bit light for what I want to do. So I'm kind of using 6.5, 7 ounce, the breakaway reds, which are that little bit more weighty, because just let that van go past. Because we're on the Humber and it's a big tide, so I want to be able to hold bottom. So I'm not gonna give these a go today. Probably not. Anyway, who knows? I might change my mind. So there you go. So now there is also another reason why I have got this on here, and that's because what I found is when you're using big hooks and really big baits, the hooks don't always stay terribly well inside that bait clip on the breakaway lead, whereas the Gemini release system here, or breakaway imp release system here, has a much bigger and a better kind of gap in it, so that you can get those hooks in there and they don't tend to come off mid-cast or anything. So I just find that a slightly more reliable system when I'm using big hooks and big baits. So that's the rig, and then basically what you do is you attach your hook link to the Gemini clip. I can just grab one of those. So there we go. So I've got a pennel hook link there. So you've got 2 hooks, probably I think about a size 4.0 and a size 3.0, something like that. And there's the hook link with a swivel at the end. And then what you do is you attach your hook link to the rig clip like so. So you can see how this is made on other channels, but I do find it quite useful. And then let's get a little bit closer to the camera. So then this hooks into that swivel, so you've got your line coming down there, that pulls down to there, the hook, oops, it's spinning, stop it spinning. It's a bit awkward to do this when you're not actually there we go. Okay, so there we go. So we've got it attached at the top there, attached to the release clip there, and then as soon as that hits the water, that flies off and your hook link slides right the way down. It's coming off there, and there's your bait well away from the lead, like so. So I thought that was a really natty idea. So so I thought I'd give it a go up here on the wall, and we'll see how we get on. Now the difficulty that you've got, obviously, here at the wall with any rig, and I have had it said to me that you're better off not using pennel system, because that's 2 hooks to snag up on the rocks and stuff. But I do use lead lifts. So I mean, even though you've got hooks trailing behind the lead, hopefully with a fish on, but if not, as long as you crank in really quickly. I'm using fixed spool reels, big reels. So really crank with the lead lift as well. The lead comes right up to the surface, and then crank it in, and as soon as you're near those rocks, give it a hoik and lift everything up and over. And generally speaking, that works. So there we go. So that's the rig that I'm going to be starting off with. if I have any problems or I lose one or whatever, then I've got also some pulley pennel rigs that I can have a go with as well. But we'll try these to start off with and see how we get on. So that's the rig to the bait. I have plenty of frozen black lugworm. I have plenty of squid. This particular bag of squid has been refrozen a couple of times, so it's very pink, but stinks, so absolutely fine. So squid and black wraps is the main bait, but I do have here, which is slowly defrosting, a dirty great mackerel. So I might actually give some mackerel a go at some point and just see whether or not. It's been sat in my freezer for ages. I thought I'd sod it. I was getting the bait out first thing this morning, and I just thought, you know what, I'll just grab that and I'll take it along. You never know, that just that different bit of scent in the water, you know, it might pull something in. So there we go. So that's the baits I've got. So what I'm going to do is essentially, let's go board doing. So we will grab a squid, off with its head. I'll stick that in there because we may well use it at some point. It's quite a small squid body, this one, but okay. And then literally all I'm going to do is just run the knife inside the body and up. Take some of the guts out. That's it. Let's make sure we haven't got the bone. I think that's already come out, so that's fine. Okay, then we are going to get some of this black lug. Get a couple of those. Get those sandtails off. Fold that in half like so. Wrap that squid body around. Now some people go to the effort of, you know, peeling the squid and taking the winglets off and stuff. I'm going to wrap it, I'm going to bind it all up in bait elastic anyway, so I don't really see the point, and I just think the skin is probably extra scent as well, so why remove it? It's not like, you know, the water's going to be so coloured, it's not like the cod are going to see a white piece of squid. And literally all I'm going to do is bind that up like that, just wrap those over, try and keep a nice reasonably compact bait. You can see all those juices coming out of there. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just slide that hook through there like so. So we've got a hook link showing, it's nice and proud, plenty of hooking power. I'm going to find the end of the cotton, which dropped into the back of the cart. And then we're going to bind that. And then we slide our pennel hook down. 1, 2, 3. Wraps around there. I'll just nick that through the top of there, give that a tug, and there we go. We've got a hook point showing either side of the bait. Nice clear hook points. You can see all the juices coming off of that. Absolutely lovely. What cod or nice big whiting is going to turn that down? I don't think any are. So there we go. So that's the baits we're going to be starting off, so I'll make a few of those baits up so that I'm kind of ready. There's no point in making my hands dirty and then washing them and making them dirty again. So we will put that to one side. I'll make a few more baits up, and then hopefully it won't be too long before we're fishing. Now, you may notice that although it's getting dark, you can see me, and you think, oh, well, you know, he's gone and got himself some LED camera lights or something like that. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth, because what my friend Matt, I keep mentioning, such a generous guy, he's a lovely guy, we were chatting about tilly lamps. And he said, oh, I've got a load of those, because I kind of, you know, he bought a few, and with the plan of kind of doing them up and selling them on, and then didn't. So he said, oh, do you want one? And I said, yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be rather fun. So, bless him, he brought me in a pre-1954 Tilly Guardsman. Now, the reason I say pre-1954 is apparently, having looked at all the kind of Tilly websites and stuff like that, because obviously I had to fettle the thing, that's the kind of the best period for them, because after that they started to be made by accountants rather than engineers, and they were never quite as good again. And that's mainly the pressure vessel at the bottom. They started making them in a different way. Basically, the bottom of the pressure vessel, the right way to do it is to have the lip up, and they're welded, they're soldered on the inside, and then for some reason after that they started doing it the other way round, so that the lip was on the outside, and they were never quite as strong, and they were prone to kind of dishing. Whereas the pre-1954 ones don't have a problem with dishing, because they're made properly, and they last forever. Well, the thing is at least 10 years older than I am, and it's going strong. It's a fantastic bit of kit. I will turn the camera around so that you can have a look. So yeah, and it's a really nice, it's a really pleasant light to have around you when you're fishing at night, because it's really warm. Unlike kind of, you know, modern LEDs and stuff like that, it's a nice warm, homely, very pleasant light. And there is always that idea that you're supposedly warm higher on the top. Although, having said that, if I put my hand over the top, it actually doesn't feel terribly warm at all. It probably is warm if I touch the metal, but I'm not silly enough to do that. So anyway, I will turn the camera around and you can have a look at this lovely lamp. And then I will go back to watching my rod tops. Fingers crossed we won't have a blank. But even if I do, I'm going to put this film up because we all blank, and especially when you're after cod, even up on the wall. So what the hell, but fingers crossed we actually will have at least a whiting or something for the camera at some point during the session. But it's still early doors. You know, the tide's not fully up for another hour and a quarter. And generally speaking, I've heard tell that it tends to fish a little bit better on the ebb. How true that is, I don't know. We shall find out. But anyway, let's have a look at this lamp. So there we go. Hopefully you can actually hopefully you can see that. I should try and kind of keep it up high so that the light is shaded a bit. But there we go. Pre-1954 Tilly Guardsman in working order. So there you go, that's the lamp. A rather nice thing. A little bit of a pain to kind of carry around, and fuel and all of that kind of stuff. So what I decided to do was make myself a box. So there we go, so there's a box that I can transport the thing around in. What I do need to do is get an old piece of foam or something and just line the inside of the box just to stop it rattling around a bit, because I have noticed that I've managed to crack the glass, which is massively annoying. But you can pick them up, so it's not the end of the world, and it's cracked, it's not broken. I've got myself my little Tilly methylated spirits jar with the preheater burner. So yeah, there we go, rather fun. Not something that I'll be carrying around on every fishing trip, for the simple reason that it's just one more thing to carry, and it's fairly heavy. So if I haven't got too far to go from the car to where I'm fishing, then I'll take it along, because it's rather nice. I will say that it's not as bright as I was expecting it to be. The mantles that I've got are just ones that were available via eBay. Don't seem to be kicking out an enormous amount of light, but I have got some on order from a company, I think they're in the Philippines, called Peerless, and apparently their mantles are really, really good. So what I will do is, once they've arrived over the next few days, I will stick one of those in and see if they're a bit better. Apparently they give a stronger, whiter light, and they don't shrink back quite so much. That one does seem very small. But it's a nice light, and it's a nice light to have next to kind of the bait prep area and stuff like that. So I'm not sitting here having to use the head torch all of the time. Anyway, back to watching the rod tops, and fingers crossed I will be back to you soon with the fish. Hi guys. So I thought I'd have a quick catch up. Seeing as we're kind of at the top of the tide now, and absolutely nothing is happening. It's really very dull at the moment. I thought I had a little nibble a little while ago, but literally it was a kind of split-second little, what looked like a little kind of whiting bump, and then it went dead. And nothing, so not even a whiting, absolutely nothing whatsoever at the moment, so a bit frustrating. So I've decided to cook myself some food. So I've got some chopped up bacon, that I've just put in a pan. I'm just frying that off with some tinned new potatoes, and then when that's kind of cooked up, I will throw a tin of beans in there, and it will become a kind of bacon and potato and bean stew, I suppose. There we have it. It was a blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank, blankety blank. Oh well, that's what you get when you go for cod. Big baits, big hooks. Don't want little fish, want cod. You know, and that's them's the breaks. If they're not in front of you, they're not in front of you. It was a blank. And we all have blanks, even people who make films. And I do think it's quite important, actually, to occasionally put a film up that's a blank. Not least because I haven't made a film for a while. So, boo-hoo. What a bugger. But never mind. It was nice to be out under the light of the tilly lamp, have some food, make the odd brew. Baits are out of the water now, rigs are put away. I've just got the rods and reels to put away, bung everything back in the car, and off home I go. So that's the one thing with the wall, because it's 10 to 8 now. It's the one thing with fishing here, is it dictates when you go home, because let's face it, if I was on a beach and I blanked, the temptation would be to keep on fishing until I'm bloody caught something. But you have a limited window at this venue, you know, and if they're not there in front of you, they're not there in front of you. There's nought you can do about it. So anyway, hopefully I will have another video up soon. I will certainly be back up here as soon as I can. It'll probably be in another couple of weeks when we've got a reasonable tide. And in the meantime, if I get a chance to get out and do a little bit of pike fishing or something like that, I'll maybe take the GoPro out and see if I can start putting something up on the YouTube channel that's not just big fishing. Maybe I can get some predator action. It's that time of year when, you know, I ought to kind of like at least get out for a couple of hours with the lures, see if I can pick anything up with that, or maybe if I've got time kind of for a bit of a session, sit down and have a bit of a dead baiting session or something. That's something I've been meaning to do for a while. We shall see. Anyway, time will tell. Hopefully I'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for your company. Please do continue to subscribe, like the videos, all of that. I don't know what difference it makes, but it's always nice to get a thumbs up. And I will catch up with you soon. Take care, guys.